After the staging process, we are brought to the Review Kia AI Auto Attachments module. In this step, based on the staging and the plan that has been created by the doctor, the software will auto-generate and place certain attachments on the teeth. These attachments are displayed in the viewport from step to step. The attachments can be edited using the manipulators provided in the UI. The user has the option to change the type of the attachments, modify the shape and size, as well as change the position of the attachment on the tooth. To the left of the screen, you have got the entire library of attachments to choose from. If you click on any tooth in the 3D viewport, that tooth number gets highlighted here at the top right in a moving dockable pane that shows the tooth number that was selected. Every time you click on a tooth, you will be able to see this entire library of attachments. Since the current selection is a maxillary tooth, the software displays only the maxillary attachment options. Once you're done with editing the attachment, you have to click on Done so that the software locks the current edits you have made to that attachment. Select a tooth from the mandibular arch. This tooth gets highlighted and the software displays the whole library of attachments from the mandibular arch. Here you've got the T-shape, the vertical bevel, and open bite extrusion attachments. Then you've got the deep bite expansion support attachments, and we also have the bite ramps. All of these attachments are possible to be placed on the tooth. You can choose the right attachment to plan your treatment. These are the generic attachments. When you hover the mouse on any of the attachments, it will tell you what the attachment does and gives its bevel information. You can use any of these attachments on a particular tooth. These are the negative attachments. Here you have the labial torquing bars, the button cutouts, and the intrusion pressure points. These attachments will appear as depressions when your model is printed, so that when your aligner is formed, it will be along that surface. The first attachment here will create a torquing force, the second one will provide us a button cutout for elastics, and the third will create a pressure area which can be used for intrusion of lower incisors. These attachments are placed by default on the teeth. In case you want to insert an additional attachment or edit the suggested ones, it can be achieved by using the tools provided in the UI. When you select a tooth, any attachments placed on that tooth will show in this window. It displays the type of attachment in the range from start to the end step for that particular attachment. Click on the Edit button and select an attachment to edit it. It is displayed in pink color. You can now use any of these manipulators to edit the attachment. This manipulator is to translate the attachment. You can move the attachment anywhere on the tooth. The attachment will always snap back onto the tooth surface after you have moved it. The second manipulator is to orient the attachment at the correct angulation. You can see it from different angles, and you can move the arrow keys to actually place the attachment perfectly along a particular tooth. The next icon is the scale manipulator. When you click on Scale, the software displays these handles which you can move in specific directions. This allows to increase or decrease the size of the attachment. Using this tool, you can manipulate the thickness of the attachment if required. Once you're done editing the attachment, in the bottom left pane, you can set the range for the start and end step for the selected attachment based on your treatment. Let's set this attachment to load from the third step. Use the input field here and set the number to 3. Click on Done to save this setting. Now, if you check the simulation timeline, this attachment will be loaded from step 3 onwards till step 19. This is an intuitive process for planning your attachments. Let's say you are starting the treatment here, and you can see that this attachment is going to collide first with the upper tooth through the treatment. Using the simulation timeline, you can see if any attachment is going to collide with an opposing tooth or other attachments during the entire process. To correct this issue, you will want to edit this attachment. Click on the Edit button, click on the attachment which is highlighted in pink, and now you can edit the shape of the attachment as shown previously. You can move the attachment more gingival. You can scale it down so that it does not interfere with the opposing tooth, or you can change the overall scale of the attachment by making it a smaller size attachment. All the possibilities exist for you to manipulate the attachments as per your treatment. The doctor can change the position of the attachments so there will be no collisions and the treatment can move forward. Once you've finished with the required changes, click on the Done button to save the edits. The software will place the attachments at the FA points. The correct positioning of this attachment is required. The user currently has to use the manipulation tools to position, orient, and scale the attachment as required. Currently, the doctor needs to decide which is the right position for the attachment and its correct angulation. It's easy to visualize and understand the kind of movement on a tooth by using the simulation cursor. Based on that, you can actually tilt the attachment as well as keep the surface which you want to engage the aligner plastic with and move the attachment in the correct position. Once you've finished the edits, don't forget to click on Done so that the attachment gets locked onto the surface. This is an easy process to follow. I'm going to show you how you can place a bite ramp. Let's isolate the upper arch first before we place this attachment. Click on the tooth and select the bite ramp attachment from this set. By default, the bite ramp attachments are placed on the lingual surface. You can now change the position of the bite ramp. You can also dynamically check how the bite ramp is going to behave towards the last stage of your aligner treatment. Position the attachment in the right way so that at the end of the stage, the lower anteriors are just touching the bite surface of your lingual attachment, which is your bite ramp. Once you have locked the position, you can click Done. Here you can check the steps range for this attachment. When the patient is going to have the first aligner, there's going to be this occlusion because of the attachment. You will need to plan whether you want this attachment from this stage. A newly created attachment is easy to edit and can be validated for the right position in the top view. Edit the orientation of these attachments using the Rotate tool. Click on the Done button so that these attachments get locked. These attachments will be a part of your 3D models when they are printed, and they will also show up in the aligners as well when you thermoform them on the 3D models. This icon is for a button cutout. Select the tooth and then choose the button cutout from the menu. This will place this attachment onto the tooth in the UI. The attachment will load in red color. Move the attachment to place it properly on the tooth. Once the projection finds the complete profile of the tooth that it fits into, it turns to a teal color. This indicates that the attachment can be safely projected onto the tooth without projecting on the gums or outside the tooth. Since the cutout attachments needs to conform properly onto the curved surface of the tooth, and the curvature of each tooth is different, it is treated with this projection method. You can clearly see the attachment conforming to the curvature of the tooth as you move the image. You can scale or rotate this attachment as required by working on the image to alter the projected attachment. Once you click Done, the projection is disposed and the attachment is dropped onto the surface of the tooth. Now you will have the button cut out in your printed model. This is the Snap Attachment tool. Select a tooth, select the attachment that you would like to place, and move the attachment using the Translate manipulator. The Snap Attachment does not let you move the attachment away from the tooth. Toggle the Snap Attachment tool if you would like to move and see the entire attachment in 3D space. It will allow you to move this attachment away from the tooth surface. Use the manipulator tools provided in the UI to edit the position or shape of the attachment as required. In the correct perspective view, you can scale the attachment to increase the size. You can change the orientation of this attachment depending on the tooth surface and position it correctly. You can then click on the Snap Attachment tool and snap the attachment back onto the tooth once again. It's a very easy and a handy tool to view the attachment outside of the tooth surface. The Aligner Number tool is another interesting feature of Kia. It allows the user to place an aligner number on any surface of the tooth as required. Let us select the surface here and then select the aligner number placeholder. It snaps onto the tooth like the other attachments. It can be placed on the buccal or the lingual side of the tooth. This is useful as many cases would have attachments on the molars. The attachment shown in the UI is a placeholder for the number. It will imprint the respective aligner number of the various steps onto the tooth, which is in this case is from 0 to 19. Every step of the 3D output will have an imprint of the step number, and that in turn gets embossed on the aligner when it is punched and thermoformed on the printed model. Every aligner will now have an embossed number at that position on the tooth. This is a good identification tool in case you do not have the option to laser mark the aligners. The number placeholder can be modified using all the manipulator tools, just like an attachment. This is the exported model where you can see the number embossed on the terminal molar. The embossed number will be reverse printed on your aligner on the inside. So every aligner will display the respective aligner number from the treatment steps. This is helpful in the situations where you do not want to or you cannot have laser markings on the aligner itself. This is how the printed model will look.